Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our latest session of Making Online Classes Interactive. I'm Dave Morgan. Today is Sunday, February the 4th. It's 3:30 local time. Big shout out to our virtual listeners who might be listening to the recording. I'm assuming at this point everybody who is participating real time has run their audio setup wizard and they're good to go. And I see that everybody's lowered their hands, so thank you for that. So very quickly, let's do an environment check. Be sure and hang a do not disturb sign if you need to. Silence or turn off your phone or other mobile devices, and try to wrangle pets, children, and dinosaurs and keep them from adding additional distraction during our session so we can stay focused. Let's do a quick quality check. Please raise your hand if you can see the word quality check at the top of the slide. Thank you, everyone. You can lower your hands. And please give me a green check if you can hear me. Thank you very much. And then finally, if you would, please verify that the session is recording by typing the word recording into the chat at the bottom. Okay, looks like we're good. Thanks very much. And welcome to Shaylin as well. So, learning objectives for today. SMART goals. By the end of the session, participants should be able to describe in the context of a community of inquiry how a COI can be implemented in instructional technologies and blended learning, and ways in which technology can be leveraged with communities of inquiry for robust learning experiences. And so we'll demonstrate understanding through a group exercise that we'll do, and then we'll prepare a debrief at the close of the session just to summarize everything, okay? So for a quick icebreaker, what I'd like you to do as a group, and feel free to communicate with each other however you like, but I'd like you to connect the dots. I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes, and I want you guys to use the available tools to connect the dots. So, ready, go. And boom, you guys knocked it out. So what's interesting to me is that everybody seemed to just kind of dive in there. And since everybody is in, you know, there was no communication and everybody was kind of doing their own path here. And the instructions were very vague. I didn't say that to do it as a team or there should only be one line. I just said go for it. And that's kind of some of the point and what we're going to be talking about today, because the fact is we have this technology that can really turn into pandemonium and disorganization if we don't properly manage it. We need to kind of wrangle that in, rein it in, and make sure that we're actually using it for the intended goal. Now, had I been more specific with my objective, which was to do this as a group, maybe you might have collaborated and decided that you were all going to take turns and do one at a time, or made some other arrangement like that. But that's some of the point. So thank you for your participation in that. Okay, so just a quick refresher. As we've discussed in the last 2 sessions, we talked about community of inquiry being made up of social, cognitive, and teaching elements. All 3 of these being crucial to the whole community of inquiry concept. The social aspect being making sure that everyone's comfortable to exchange ideas and even engage in spirited debate as long as it's respectful and everybody's comfortable to do so. The cognitive element, which is making sure that people are actually getting to use their mind and being pressed for critical thinking, and then the teaching element, which is, of course, providing some sort of structure and goals in mind to ensure that the learning is taking place and that it's kind of staying on track. So again, just a quick recap of the community of inquiry. So further to the community of inquiry, in discussing e-learning, we find that technology allows us to create these communities of inquiry in previously unimagined ways for rich learning experiences. So there's all kinds of cool toys out here, and you can see these kids here using some kind of virtual reality or special 3D glasses or something to be able to perhaps study anatomy. There's just a whole bevy of cool technology and toys out there that for some people is intimidating, and for other people it's like they're a kid in a candy store. So it's very important for us to understand that at the end of the day, e-learning is not about the technology itself. It should be about connectivity and community. So before we get carried away with all of the various tools and toys that are out there, it's important to understand that it's about connectivity and community. The author, Garrison, describes how people are still trying to figure out a way, for instance, to leverage social media. How can we use Twitter and Facebook in the educational environment? And the truth is, they just haven't found a way yet to make that work, because a lot of the social media that's out there, it doesn't take into account that respectful debate. And I'm sure all of us have seen the very heated and disrespectful debates that go on social media and that kind of thing. So it's important for us to distinguish this community of inquiry and those three elements in an e-learning environment, and making sure that it's about connectivity and community, and really about communication, because that's the cornerstone of the community of inquiry. So in general, when we're talking about e-learning, the two basic models are that there's an online component, or there's a blended component, which is comprised of both face-to-face and an online component. And Garrison really recommends, and empirical studies kind of prove out that the blended approach really is best. That e-learning should not fully replace the lecture environment, but it should enhance. There should be both. There's always benefit in face-to-face interaction, but there is a way to leverage all of the technology tools that are out there to further the discussion and to be able to foster more critical thinking and critical discourse. Okay, so our next step is I'd like you to all participate in a case study, and here's the background for it. You're a veteran instructor for a course on project management, and up till this point it's been just a traditional lecture course, and periodically has written assignments or deliverables associated with it, and then it has the usual midterm and final exams. Your department head has tasked you with making this a blended learning course using both the traditional techniques as well as incorporating some of the newer technology, as well as trying to use the community of inquiry paradigm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you, I've set up groups here, and I'd like you to all join group one when I give you the high sign. And what I'd like you to do is, as a group, come up with ideas for what you generally believe the steps you should take to begin to transition the course from lecture-based to one that employs community of inquiry and makes use of technology. So I'll give you 3 minutes to do the exercise. You can use the tools from the toolbar to capture your group's thoughts. If you want to bring in photos or images, you can certainly do that. And then also among you, if you would, please prepared to have one or two of you, or however many you'd like, but be prepared to outbrief that to the rest of the class once I bring you back. So when I give you the sign, I'd like everybody to, you should be able to just move yourself into the group room, and if you have trouble with that, then I'll be able to help you. But y'all please move to group one now, and I'll set the timer for 3 minutes. Okay, thank you, everyone. Let's go take a look at what you guys came up with. So who was your representative speaker? Don't all volunteer at once. Go ahead, Jeff.
Sure, sure. We forgot that step. We were so excited to dig into this class and how we could reconfigure it. We didn't really think about, who's going to be reporting. And so I'll volunteer myself since nobody else did. Yeah, so
Thank you, Jeff.
we sure, sure. Yeah, we figured we should have a list of what all the course material is first, sort of an inventory, and then from there figure out what technology or not technology makes sense for that particular aspect. Whether it's web conferencing or just reading the textbook or attending a class, just to kind of figure out what the pieces are first, and then decide what's a good technology for them.
Great, thank you. And that's actually exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, I think it's important for us to put real serious thought into what's appropriate stuff that we could do online, and maybe what should stay as a classroom lecture or a classroom demonstration. So thank you. That's what I was looking for. Good work. Now let's see if I can do this. Okay, so next I'm going to ask you guys to do an outbrief for me using a collaborative tool in Google. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration of how that's going to work, and we're going to run through that very quickly, and then I'll send you a link to a document through the web tour tool that we can complete together as a group. So very quickly, I'm going to do application sharing. You'll see my desktop, and you'll see me go to Google and start up a new Google Doc. So hopefully everybody can see my main Google page there. Please give me a shout if you can't. Otherwise, I'm going to proceed. If you go up to the top to the cubes up there, go to Google Apps. Typically, the best way to find this is to just go to Drive. And while you're in Drive, you can create a new folder. And we'll call this Workshop 4. And now that we're in Workshop 4, what we can do is create a new document. Now, this is Google's answer to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint called Docs, Sheets, and Slides. So if I wanted to, I could create a new document either from a template that exists or a blank document. And this is what that would look like. We have a blank document. Text would go here. Okay, then back in this part, you would click on this document in order to make it shareable and go to share. If you hit advanced, you get the URL for it. You also change the access. So you would change it so that anybody with the link can get to it. And you can also change the access here so that anyone can edit it. Now, you can certainly have other restrictions if you want, but that's the key to that. So once that's saved, then you would save that URL out and send it to everybody that you wanted to collaborate on that. Okay? So that's fundamentally how that would work. What we're going to do now is I've already got one of these things in the can, so I'm going to take you to the web tour. Let's try that again. And there it is. I'm going to send the link down here in the chat. Doesn't look like it's coming through the chat. I don't know why. At any rate, if you're able to see that, hopefully everybody has permissions to be able to change that, and I see that you already are. So if you would, go ahead and change the group name. I see you're already doing that. And then if everybody would at least put one main point that they got out of this. Okay, thank you, everyone. Looks like everybody got a chance to weigh in there. So if it's all right, I'm going to take us back to the main room and kind of take us out. So we've already just done that assessment there, and hopefully you got to see how the Google toys kind of work. Are there any questions? Go ahead and raise your hand if you got any questions. If not, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't really have a question, but I thought I'd simulate having a question so you could simulate answering a question. What's the best technology to use for education?
The best technology to use for education is the free technology.
Okay, thanks.
Thus endeth the lesson. I'll try to find a
Okay.
citation. Good question, Jeff.
Great.
I'll look into it.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, and for all the virtual listeners out there, don't forget to send in your missed class summary, and we'll see everyone next week.